Alright people, here's our second week of dice. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to dice potato. It's inexpensive. Since we're at home, it doesn't matter what you dice, but I do want you to practice the dice again. And this week I want you to again execute all 5 dice, large, medium, small. But I also want you to include for your lab evidence, I also want you to put the sticks that end up becoming the individual dice. So when you download the worksheet, you'll see I want Pont Neuf, large dice, so on and so forth. Remember to keep your knives straight. Line up cut edges with the spine of your knife. Be very deliberate about every cut. Don't just cut sporadically. Line up the spine, line up the cut edge. Ensure that the knife is straight up and down. Use proper technique. Your grip, your guide hand. Make sure the knife is 90 degrees against the longer cut end of the potato, and up and down it's 90 degrees on the board. Make your cuts smooth and not choppy. Line up the spine with the cut edge. Those should be parallel. Nice, smooth, even stroke, forward and down. Remember, at a microscopic level, the knife essentially is a serrated edge. And so it's not the choppy straight up and down like you see on television. It's the smooth down and forward motion that executes the cut. Guide the knife with your curled guide hand, your fingers curled under. See the squares. When you line up your knife for the cut, look for the imaginary square in the back end of the dice, or the stick that you're cutting. Take your time. Unlike many of the YouTubes or online sources that show you how to cut, I don't want you to stack everything so you get through the cuts faster. You don't have as much control. And so, as you'll see in this video going forward, every single cut, each dice, each stick will be done one at a time. And that's trying to model for you best practice. Once you have your dice, now execute. Once you have your stick, I mean. Now you can execute your dice. They should be even on all 3 dimensions, on every side. You should be able to play a board game or take these to Vegas. Although I don't think a casino will take dice potatoes. If you're dicing potato, keep a water dish handy so you can put your cuts in the water so they don't oxidize. Make sure your knife is straight up and down. You're looking right down the spine without being able to see the blade. Your technique is so much more important the smaller the cut gets. Even with these tiny cuts, notice how my knife still rocks on the board. And I don't just chop through. Now with this last potato, what I'm going to show you after I make a few more of these cuts, what I'm going to show you with this last potato is really what I intend or expect you to do for this week's lab assignment. And what I'm after are the 5 sticks, and depending on the size of potato that you're able to use, you may still need 2, but I'd like you to get 2 of each size stick. A Pont Neuf, a Bâton, a Bâtonnet, a Julienne, and a fine Julienne. 2 of each of those out of 1 potato. And then 1 of each of those sticks I want you to turn into the appropriate dice of that size. The Pont Neuf becomes a large dice. The Bâton becomes a medium dice. The Bâtonnet becomes a small dice. The Julienne becomes the Brunoise, and the fine Julienne becomes the fine Brunoise. Again, visualize the line where you're going to cut. Take your time. Visualize. Double check your angles. Line up the spine of the knife against the cut edge of the potato. Make sure the knife is straight up and down. You should see the spine without seeing any piece of the blade. If you see the blade, you're cutting at an angle. And if you cut at an angle in or out, just like in golf, that's how you hook or slice the ball. You don't want to do that. You end up with so much more waste. That knife should be exactly parallel with that cut side. Then the cuts should be 90 degrees. Make a 90-degree angle with the knife. The potato and the knife should make a 90-degree angle. You should see straight up and down. The knife should also be 90 degrees on the cutting board. Again, angles. Not that kind of angle. Proper technique. Smooth forward and down motion. So here I have my Pont Neuf, 2 of those I'll keep one. I'll keep them both for now, but I'll keep one, and I'll dice the other for large dice. Then with the remaining potato, I'll cut smaller and smaller. I'll take out my batons. Trying to use every bit of potato that I can, and not waste anything. So there you see the top of the cutting board. Pont neuf, baton, bâtonnet, and out comes some julienne and some fine julienne. Well, I only got one bâtonnet. Remember, that fine julienne is only a 1/16 of an inch. That is tiny. Now from each one of these, execute a dice. From the Pont Neuf, we get a large dice. From the Baton comes a medium dice. From the bâtonnet comes the small dice. From the julienne comes the brunoise. And from the fine julienne comes the fine brunoise. This is what I want you to do this week, week 10. And then you can take those dice, those sticks, and go make something with them. Be clean as you go. I want to see your work, and I want to see you in uniform. So refer back to the in Blackboard. Refer back to the online lab worksheet that gives you the directions, instructions on what I'm looking for the lab. What you choose to do, what dish you choose to make, really doesn't matter. All I'm after is, and what I hope we take away from this aspect of the lab, is we don't want to waste anything. So don't waste. Look forward to seeing you next week.